You learn the strike zone before you learn long division, not from a coach, not from a clinic with color-coded cones and a dad in a polo shirt. You learn it from a chain-link backstop behind Eastside Elementary in Stockton, California, where the strike zone is a rectangle you spray paint onto the chain-link yourself using a can of orange paint you found in the maintenance shed. Top of the zone is your shoulder height at age 9, bottom is your knee, width is the width of a milk crate you measured with a ruler and then eyeballed onto the fence because you ran out of tape. You throw at that rectangle every day after school until the orange fades. Then you repaint it. Stockton in the late 90s is not a place that produces professional athletes because of infrastructure. It produces them despite the absence of it. The field at Eastside has no mound. You throw from flat ground for 3 years, and what that does to your mechanics, specifically to your hip rotation and your frontside resistance, is something a pitching coach at a Division I school will later call the most naturally efficient delivery he has ever seen in a 20-year-old. And you will nod and not tell him it came from a cracked asphalt parking lot and a chain-link fence. Your mother works nights at San Joaquin General, home by 6:15 am, asleep by 6:45. You do not wake her. You eat cereal standing at the counter, pack your own bag, and walk the 11 blocks to school. This is not a tragedy. This is Tuesday. There is a man named Ruben. He coaches the Stockton Port's Youth League on weekends, and during the week he drives a forklift at the Port of Stockton, and his hands are the size of first baseman's mitts, and he can watch a pitcher throw 4 pitches and tell you which shoulder is flying open and exactly when in the kinetic chain. The problem starts. He is not credentialed. He has never been to a coaching course. He learned pitching by pitching in the Mexican League for 6 seasons in his 20s, and he learned what made pitchers fail by failing himself in specific and instructive ways. He watches you throw one Saturday in April when you are 11. He doesn't say anything until you've thrown 30 pitches. Then he says, your glove arm is dying at release. Pull it through. Like you're starting a lawnmower. That one cue adds 4 miles per hour to your fastball by the end of summer. Ruben works with you every Saturday morning. 7 am. The field is empty that early, and the Central Valley air is still cold enough to see your breath. He teaches you that pitching is not throwing. Throwing is generating force. Pitching is applying force to a specific location at a specific moment through a sequence of body movements that must happen in exactly the right order or the whole chain breaks, and the ball goes nowhere near where you intended. The chain goes hip rotation, torso rotation, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers. If the hips start late, everything behind them is already wrong before the ball leaves your hand. If the elbow drops 2 inches, you lose the downward plane that makes a fastball difficult. Every inch matters. Every millisecond in the sequence matters. You are 12 years old and you understand this with the seriousness of an engineer. By 14, your fastball sits at 84 miles per hour. Not exceptional for the level. What is exceptional is your command. In a regional tournament in Fresno, you throw 61 pitches, and 54 of them hit the location you and Ruben discussed in the dugout before each batter. 54 of 61 is not luck. That is a system. The system is this: you do not aim the ball. Aiming is a conscious act, and consciousness is slow. You train the delivery so completely, so many thousands of repetitions at the chain link fence and on that flat asphalt, and later on an actual mound when you get to high school, that the body executes location as a reflex. You think catcher's glove, and the message travels from brain to body in a pathway so worn by repetition it has become a groove, not a decision. Ruben dies the summer before your senior year. Pancreatic cancer. 14 weeks from diagnosis to gone. You visit him 3 times at St. Joseph's. The last visit he is very small in the bed and he says, "Keep the front side closed." You say yes. You drive home on I-5 with the windows down and the valley heat coming in like a wall. You throw a complete game shutout 4 days later. 11 strikeouts. You do not know what to do with grief that has no address, so you put it somewhere in the delivery and it comes out as velocity. Scouts are at that game, 3 of them. The draft takes you in the 2nd round. 43rd overall, the Texas Rangers. You sign for $750,000 and you send your mother $600,000, and you keep the rest for an apartment in Surprise, Arizona, where the minor league complex is, and a used Honda Accord, grey, 2009, 87,000 miles on the clock. The minors are 3 years of calibration. Rookie ball, high A, double A. What you are calibrating is not stuff. Your stuff is already plus. The fastball is up to 94 now. You have a curveball that breaks 11 inches, and a changeup you grip like a circle change, but release with a 2-finger drag that kills the spin rate to 1400 RPM and makes it behave differently from. Any changeup hitters have catalogued. What you are calibrating is decision making. Which pitch, to whom, in which count, in which situation, with which runner, on which base. Pitching at the major league level is not execution of physical skill. It is execution of physical skill under a cognitive load that would make most people's performance collapse entirely. You make your MLB debut at 23, April 9th, Globe Life Field, Arlington, Texas. 72 degrees at first pitch, wind 80 mph out to left. You go 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Your pitch count is 94 and your manager takes you out at 94 because that is the number they agreed on beforehand, and you nod and hand him the ball and walk to the dugout. You want to stay in. You always want to stay in. You say nothing. Year 1, 31 starts, 189 innings, 3.21 ERA, 11th in Cy Young voting. Nobody gives you the trophy, but the number that matters to you is not ERA. It is called Stuff Plus, a metric that measures the physical quality of each pitch against league average, where 100 is average and yours is 118, which means your raw pitch quality is elite. What keeps the ERA from being lower is pitch sequencing. You are still learning the league, still building the encyclopedia of hitter tendencies, timing patterns, swing decisions. You are filing information at every start, and the file is not yet complete. Year 2, the file gets thicker. You know that this particular left-handed hitter at Cleveland is 1 for 16 lifetime against elevated fastballs above the belt but destroys anything below it, so you work him up and in, and he knows you work him up and in June, you throw him 3 consecutive elevated fastballs to get him, expecting the 4th one, and then you bury a changeup at his back knee that he is still swinging at when it bounces past the catcher. He stands there for a moment. You are already looking at the sign for the next hitter. This is the year you go 18-6, 2.67 ERA, 241 strikeouts. You finish second in the Cy Young. Year 3 is the year the organization asks you to sign the extension. 7 years, $245 million. You sign it in February in a conference room in Arlington with your agent and the GM and a lawyer and your mother on a video call on your agent's laptop, her face in a small rectangle in the corner of the screen. She is still in Stockton. She retired from San Joaquin General 6 months ago, and she still wakes up at 5 a.m. from 15 years of habit, and she does not know what to do with the mornings. So she drinks coffee and watches the news, and you call her 3 times a week. The contract changes something you don't expect. Not your effort, not your preparation. It changes the way the organization talks to you. Specifically, the pitching coach begins suggesting things he would have told you before. Now he suggests them. There is a deference you do not entirely trust. You have spent 23 years with nobody deferring to anything about you. The deference feels like a new language you haven't learned yet. You win the Cy Young in year 3. 21 wins. 2.41 ERA, 268 strikeouts. You are the best pitcher in the American League, and the numbers confirm it without discussion. Here is what 268 strikeouts actually is. It is 268 moments where a hitter prepared for days, watched film, took batting practice against a machine replicating your delivery, stood in the box with every preparation completed, and your execution was still better than his preparation. That is not athletic superiority in the conventional sense. That is information warfare. You have learned every hitter in the league well enough to be 3 pitches ahead of them. You know what they are expecting before they finish expecting it. The thing people do not understand about being the ace is the loneliness of the preparation. You throw every 5th day. The 4 days between are not rest. They are study and maintenance and the quiet accumulation of information that makes the 5th day possible. You watch film alone. You chart pitch sequences alone. You throw your bullpen sessions with specific purposes, working on the movement profile of a cutter you're developing, because you've identified that right-handed hitters on the inner half have a hole you could be exploiting more efficiently. And you've been working on this cutter for 4 months, and it isn't ready yet, but it will be by September, and when it is ready, nobody will be expecting it, because nobody knew you were building it. There are 7 weeks left in the season. You are 19-5. The team is 3 games back in the division. Everything from April is now arithmetic. The ace is not the most visible person on the team. The home run hitter is visible. The ace is visible every 5th day, and then he is preparation. But the team's psychology runs through him. When you take the ball on day 1 of a series, you are telling the other team something. When you walk to the mound in October with 40,000 people and both dugouts understanding that everything comes down to this, you are the one who has to metabolize that atmosphere and convert it to execution. The chain goes hip rotation, torso rotation, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers. It goes the same way in October as it did behind Eastside Elementary at 9 years old, throwing at an orange spray painted rectangle, while Stockton went on living around you and nobody watched. That is the thing nobody sees when they see the Cy Young trophy and the $245 million, and the name on the back of jerseys in cities you've never visited. They see the outcome. They do not see the chain link fence. They do not see Ruben Castrojohn's hands in the cold morning air, showing an 11-year-old how to pull the glove through like starting a lawnmower. They do not see the 15 years of a single motion practiced until it stopped being a motion and became a fact of the body. Every era of baseball produces one man who makes the art of pitching look like inevitability. What that inevitability actually is a decision made in a parking lot in Stockton, California every afternoon for 1,000 afternoons before anyone was watching. 7 weeks left. The arithmetic is close enough to matter. Follow the season. The 5th day comes around again on Thursday. Subscribe to the channel. The next POV drops in a few days and it hits harder than this one.